Hello and welcome to another edition of ProtoMet's First Impressions, where I give my thoughts on the first episode of any new tokusatsu show. And I just recently watched the first episode of Ultraman Omega, which, oddly enough, didn't have an English dub simulcast like the last two seasons have, which really threw me for a loop. Strange, but whatever. The first episode starts with a wholly CGI fight scene between the lead Ultraman and a bunch of bugs on a planet that ends up getting blown up at the end, which causes Omega to plummet to the Earth and take on a human form for some reason. He soon finds himself just kind of wandering to some place where he meets a guy whose food he steals. And it's clear that he has amnesia, and while he knows words, he doesn't fully understand concepts. He doesn't know what things are. And, from the perspective of the guy he's interacting with, that's like normal amnesia stuff. But for me, an outsider, knowing this guy is clearly an alien, because it's pretty obvious, this is a case of, wow, they are actually showing that, an extraterrestrial character doesn't immediately know everything about Japan and the Earth. They literally have to learn stuff. I thought that was a nice touch. Also, it cuts from being CGI after the planet explodes. I mean, aside from, the general effects. I'm actually okay with the fact that the opening scene is fully CGI, because it's a kind of scene that could only work with CGI. The bug creatures that he's fighting could really only be properly animated using CGI. You couldn't really make a suit for that kind of stuff. But then he arrives on Earth, and then he can't fly. He thinks he can fly, but he can't fly. He can run pretty fast, which causes the guy he's interacting with to have to try and catch up, because he stole the guy's phone. He stole the guy's phone while the guy was on the phone with his boss. And then a giant monster emerges from the ground. Also earlier there was a high-rise construction project that was just collapsed into the ground. That one was practical effects. That one they did with practical effects. I'm glad that they had a scene with practical effects to tell the audience, hey, we know the opening scene was all CGI, but we're still going to go with practical effects for a good chunk of this anyway, like traditional Ultraman. But anyway, giant monster shows up, and apparently this world has never even heard of kaiju. Apparently Godzilla was never a movie series in this universe. I mean, it's one thing to have never encountered a kaiju. It's another thing to have never even encountered the concept of a kaiju. That's pretty interesting. Huh. But the monster causes some destruction and then leaves. The adults get into an argument about what they're supposed to be doing about all this. A little girl is lost and starts crying. And the other guy, the one who's clearly not the main hero, he helps her. They end up finding her mother. So that plot line is resolved fairly quickly. But the other guy does get upset with the adults for arguing when there's a little girl right there. Like, they're adults, they should be calm or something. He argues that point. But then when the monster shows up again, and for some reason the alien guy, he's like, I know what this monster is. It's called Grime. I know its abilities. Why do I know this stuff? And he just kind of stands there while the monster is rampaging, and almost everybody runs, and other guys like, I'm just gonna leave you behind, you know, if you're just gonna stand there, you're on your own. Ah, crap, I can't help but help. That's so funny. It's so funny. Anybody else hear those noises from the next apartment? They're distracting. But then alien guy summons his Omega Slugger, because we saw an advertisement for it, so we already know that that's what it's called. And he takes the crystal hanging around his neck and puts it in there and transforms into the Ultraman Omega and battles the monster and defeats it. And then he asks what the other guy's name is, and he gives it, his name is Hoshimi Kosei, or Kosei Hoshimi. And the alien guy, who has revealed himself to be Ultra to Kosei, states that his name is Omega. And then the episode ends with the opening credits sequence or whatever. It's a fun first episode. It does a lot of stuff different from a lot of other Ultra shows. The way that Omega just kind of wanders around, kind of with amnesia, kind of... Recently I've been watching classic Doctor Who, and the way Omega just kind of wanders around, not really coherent of what's going on. It's a bug around here. Kind of reminded me of when the Doctor first regenerated, how disoriented he kind of seemed and how awkward that whole situation was. But it just reminded me of this, and I just ran with it because it's fine. Like, of course, there's gonna be some like power-ups. Stupid bug. It's trying to distract me. They want revenge. They want revenge for the opening scene of Omega. But yeah, no. Pretty exciting and fun first episode. I do know that this show is not going to have a defense team like most other shows did, and that's because the head writer just completely read the room regarding the world situation right now. We don't really need something like that. He wants to have an Ultra show that lacks a defense team, but still appeals to kids, and I'm all for that. I'm definitely interested in seeing how this show progresses. I'm interested to learn how the armor kaijus that, or I guess weapon kaijus or whatever, how they're going to be introduced in the show, because like how the Omega Slugger was advertised, so were the toys that, so that, I got a bit of heartburn. I don't usually get heartburn, but I got heartburn. I'm rambling. I'm incoherent. I'm totally coherent. I'm just rambling. Anyway, the first episode of Ultraman Omega, pretty damn fun. Definitely going to watch more of this show. Although I am kind of curious when the English dub's going to start, because I read somewhere that there was going to be an English dub. Last two seasons had English dubs, and those went over pretty well. So we gotta wait a week for new episodes with the dubs, because English language channel, they already put out an episode preview for episode 2, as though anybody who was only subscribed to that channel had seen the dub version or whatever. I don't know what's going on. It's perplexing. But anyway, check out Ultraman Omega. It is currently streaming on YouTube for free. Speaking of streaming in the US, the new Kamen Rider is going to be streaming in the US. Nice. Looking forward to that. I keep looking over there as though I'm looking at something. I'm not looking at anything particular. I'm all disjointed today. I had quite a bit of caffeine well before this. So hopefully I get some sleep tonight. Until next time, I'm ProtoMet. See ya.